Everybody, it's about 2 weeks since I had the Mirena IUD inserted, and so many of you guys have been asking me for an update, and I wanted to let enough time pass so that I could give you guys a real sense of how I feel about this IUD insertion. I made a list of the things I love and the things that I don't love about it, and this video may be a little bit graphic and crude for some of you, but if you're really looking at real people's experiences with the Mirena IUD, you've come to the right place, because I'm going to tell you how I feel and what the experience was like. So stay tuned if you want to learn more about the Mirena IUD 2-week update. Now I'll start by saying this: if you're new to this channel or new to me and this is the first video you're seeing about my Mirena IUD, definitely click back in the history and watch my other IUD videos. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice, this is just my personal experience with the Mirena IUD. I'm a nulli gravida, which means I've never had children, I've never even been pregnant, I've never had a termination, this body's never been pregnant. So my insertion seems to be a little bit more severe than others because my cervix has never been dilated or stretched at all, ever. So there's a little bit of history there. I have incredibly bad shark bait, which is what I call my heavy periods, passing huge clots, sometimes the size of my palm, and also excruciating cramps where they're debilitating. So like 3-4 days out of the month I'm down for the count, can't really do anything, no pain medicine will cover it, heating pads, I have burns all over my stomach from falling asleep with heating pads, and various homeopathic remedies have never worked for me. I've been dealing with this since I was 9. I started getting my period when I was 9 years old, and now I'm 39. I am a candidate for a partial hysterectomy, but I can't have it done due to travel arrangements this summer until the fall. So in a temporary pinch, my gynecologist recommended the Mirena IUD. So things that I loved. The insertion, although excruciating for me, it was excruciating. However, it was fast, and that I loved. I love the fact that even though it killed and I almost fainted from it, it was fast and over really quickly. So that I really, really loved, and I appreciated that a lot. The second thing that I love so far is that no more big giant clots that I could give a name to, okay? I got the Mirena inserted approximately 1 week before my period was due. So I was expecting after insertion to, not necessarily see huge results right away. I was expecting to have like, a full-blown period, and then maybe the next time be a little bit less and then less and then less. But I didn't have any bad clots when I got my actual period after. It came a few days early, but when I was due, I knew the difference between the end of the Mirena insertion, brown snotty schmear, versus the actual menstrual period, and it was way lighter, hardly any clots at all, so that was awesome. Definitely love that. It's already lighter, and it's only been my first cycle already. It's mindless birth control. So although I'm not using it for birth control, Nick had a vasectomy years back. We're child-free by choice. We're married almost 14 years, so I'm not using it for birth control. But if you are using it for birth control, or if I was using it for birth control, talk about mindless birth control. Set it and forget it, baby. Done. I'm less moody. My PMS was less severe, and I love that. I swing my moods, I get angry, anything with a face, I just want to punch during PMS, and I didn't feel that way this time. I didn't have to fight the Hulk within. You know what I'm talking about. Definitely less water retention. Now, some of you guys who already know me know that I can retain between 12 and 17 pounds of water, like overnight. Now, I can't completely attribute Mirena to the water retention thing, because my doctor did also put me on HCTZ, hydrochlorothiazide. Mostly, one, the edema, the water retention that I have, that I deal with every month at the drop of a hat. I gain so much weight with it's just water. I just blow up. So I know the hydrochlorothiazide has helped with that. It also is there to help, lower my blood pressure a little bit, but mostly for the edema. I don't know if it's the hormone in the Mirena that's doing it, or maybe it's a combination of the two things, but I barely retain any water, maybe 4 pounds of water, and that, to me, that's nothing, and that came off straight away, so I'm good. Another thing that I love is that my face is clear. Normally during shark bait week, I get those deep, really, really, really hard, deep pimples that never fully erupt. They never get to a head and they just stay red and angry, and you just can't barely even touch them. And I'm clear. My face is totally clear, completely clear, and I love that. Oh my gosh, 39 years old, I shouldn't have to be dealing with acne anymore, right? Okay, so it wouldn't be a fair list if I didn't tell you the things that I don't love about Mirena or about my experience so far at the 2-week mark. And the first thing is, after I had it inserted, the first 3 days were so weird, okay? Between the cramping and the brown, sludgy, slimy, schmeary grossness that was coming out of me in big, clumpy chunks, it's enough to make you gag, seriously. I was a little concerned that that was never going to go away. And pair that with the coffee ground texture of the clotting chemical or the clotting material that was used to basically seal up the wound that was created when she had to pinch my cervix and pull my uterus straight with the tweezers of the forceps. I guess drew blood, and then also I had a biopsy done at the same time inside of my uterus, so that caused some bleeding as well. So there was this material, like a clotting agent, that was very similar to coffee grounds coming out of me for like 3 or 4 days, and it was absolutely foul. It was kind of nauseating every time I had to use the restroom and had to wipe. It was like looking at and feeling, it didn't smell, which thank God, I didn't need that sense violated too, but it was just this foul grossness that I don't have the stomach for that. It's not sexy at all. It's kind of gross. The second thing that I don't really like, I bleed a little bit every day. So it may only be, for like 10 minutes, I may have some light pink or red blood that comes out, but it's completely sporadic. I have no idea when it's going to come, and I really can't anticipate it, and that's frustrating to me. So I've invested in a ton of panty liners and junior tampons, but seriously, I never knew what spotting was before this, and I know spotting is not a new thing to you guys. A lot of you guys know what spotting is. I never had spotting. I've never had any breakthrough bleeding or any spotting where I just would have some random blood that would show up, and now I do, and it's very odd to not know what's going on down there, and that I don't really like. I hope that goes away, but I understand that that can last for a really, really long time. The other thing that I don't like so much is that along with the sporadic spotting bleeding, I also get sporadic cramping, and cramps like regular full-on shark bait cramps, but they just hit me like out of the blue. Like I could just be feeling fantastic, and then all of a sudden I'm doubled over, like, oh my gosh, like as if I'm passing one of my old clots, like where I just like kind of wince and just like have to breathe through it, and they don't last long enough for me to take any medicine for. I just kind of have to deal with it, and that was one of the big issues that I had beforehand, was bad cramps. And so the fact that these are just kind of like these random punch you in the gut, kind of doubled over in pain at a moment's notice, I need that to stop. I hope that stops. Something else that I don't like is that I had a major eczema flare on my hands. I have eczema on my hands, and primarily these 3 fingers and the back of this pinky are mostly affected. When it flares up, it's like 1,000 paper cuts on my fingers, and it's really, really hard to deal with and do anything. So I had an almost immediate flare, and I know, at least I believe, that my eczema is hormonal. It seems to flare a lot when, right before, like PMS, shark bait is about to happen, and then it kind of tapers off. And since I've had the Mirena inserted, it's been flaring. So that's been kind of a source of contention. I've been dealing with it, and it hurts, And I'm kind of getting tired of this flare-up because in my mind it should have already calmed itself down. It's something that I'm going to talk to my doctor about when I follow up with her in a couple of weeks. So I knew that that was a side effect, but I was hoping that it wouldn't happen to me, but I think it's causing my eczema to get aggravated. You know what I mean? The other thing, the last thing that I can think of as I was making this list is I seem to have a slightly lower sex drive. And I'm a very sexual, sensual person. I tend to have even a higher sex drive than my husband. I've kind of always been very sexually charged. I, masturbate. I like to have sex. I'm very sensual. I like sex. And I feel like I really couldn't care much less right now, which is kind of pathetic. In fact, Nick and I haven't even had sex since I had the Mirena inserted. Most of that was because I wanted to protect him and shelter him from that weird stuff that was coming out of me at first. Now, I think we could probably get away with it. He probably wouldn't even notice, anything at all. If we did have sex, I just am so not into it right now, which is so weird because I'm at least a 1 orgasm a day kind of girl. So I had a couple of irrational concerns at first, and I think this is kind of normal, and, looking at forums online and talking to some of my friends about this, I don't feel so silly at kind of thinking these things or asking these questions. And my first irrational concern is, could I push the IUD out if I strained too hard on the toilet? Could I push it out when I poop too hard? I was thinking to myself, this thing is in my uterus, right? So when a woman has a baby, and I haven't had one, but when a woman has a baby and she pushes, it's the same motion, the same sensation as it is when you push out a baby. So those muscles all contracting, your uterus is, there. If there's a foreign body in your uterus and it's angry and it's, gnawing at you and it wants to kind of push it out, who's to say that straining too hard on the toilet wouldn't do that? So it's an irrational fear. I've learned that, it's not going to happen, or if it does, it's extremely rare. But it was something that went through my mind for sure. In the same vein, I was thinking maybe an orgasm would do the same thing because, I at least have, in the past, I've always had at least 1 orgasm a day. I happen to be a multiple orgasmic person. So I was thinking if my uterus is contracting like crazy, it might be a similar thing. Could I push it out, or would it hurt while I'm having an orgasm? And I've tried it. My orgasm was weak, but it didn't hurt. Nothing happened. So I'm hoping my sex drive kind of jumps up a little bit and that I can have another earth-shattering orgasm again. I just kind of apathetic at the moment. My last kind of rational thought was, would Nick be able to feel the strings when he was in there? And we haven't tried, so I don't know, but they let us feel the strings after they cut the strings to a certain length, and they're up inside, dangling outside of my cervix, inside my vagina. But I haven't reached up to feel them yet, and Nick hasn't reached up to feel them yet, nor has he tried to have intercourse with me yet. So I don't know if he could feel them, but I'll keep you posted on that. So I really don't know what the rest of the month will bring as far as, the rest of my cycle play out, and I don't know what the next cycle will be. I'm actually scheduled to have my next shark bait while we're in Hawaii, which is going to be a drag, and that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to get something taken care of before we left for the trip, because I didn't want to be flying while I was on my period, and I didn't want to have to deal with my first unplugged vacation in 3 years, dealing with shark bait. So with my doctor in about 2 or 3 weeks. So at that point, we'll be able to give you an update and see what she has to say about all of my concerns. If you have questions for me, or if you just want to leave me a comment, please do leave it to me below, or you can send me an email at fitandfabby40@gmail.com. All of my contact information is down below. If we're not friends on Facebook, we should be, so you should friend me over there, links below. Find me on Instagram and, all that fun stuff. And go drink some water, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great night, guys. Thanks for watching. Good night.